are adjourning from our special meeting. We are back to our main meeting tonight. And Madam Clerk, if you would call the roll, please.
Should there first be a report out from the city attorney from the previous meeting?
Adam, do you want to do that report?
Sure, I'd be happy to. This afternoon, the City Council met in closed session at 3 o'clock. The City Council considered 2 performance evaluations for the City Attorney and the City Manager that we'll report on in just a moment. The Council considered 1 item of anticipated litigation on which it received updates from and provided direction to Litigation Counsel and concluded. The Council did not take up 1 real property item that it rolled over for potential discussion at the conclusion of this evening's meeting, and the Council does still have 2 other closed sessions at the conclusion of the meeting.
Okay, now I will close that special session. We will transition on to our main session for tonight. I will call this meeting to order and ask that the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Budge?
Here.
Councilmember Terry?
Here.
Councilmember McGarvey?
Here.
Vice Mayor Gatewood?
Here.
Mayor Sander?
Here.
And just so the council knows, we have a lot of feedback in the council chambers. I'm guessing that might be through some of you via Zoom. And so we would just ask that when you're not speaking, if you can please press mute. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Could you make the Metro Cable TV television announcement, please?
Yes. The meeting of the Rancho Cordova City Council will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast Consolidated Communications and AT&T Uverse cable systems. The meeting is closed captioned and webcast at www.sacmetrocable.tv. Today's meeting will air on Wednesday, October 21st at 7 p.m. and Saturday, October 24th at 7 p.m. A DVD copy is also available for checkout from any library branch. A copy can also be ordered from the City Clerk's Department, and a webcast of this meeting will also be available on the city's website within 48 hours of adjournment of this meeting.
Very good. I can't quite see who is in the room in order to call on them to lead the pledge, but I think, is that Albert in the back?
Yes, it is.
It is. All right, Albert. You're it. If you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Very good. Thank you for that, Albert. And we do have a invocator tonight. Shadi, are you present in the room?
Shadi is via Zoom, and there he is.
Then we need to promote Shadi.
Hello, hello. So great to see so many great faces. I'm going to pray for us. Thank you, Lord, for this city. Thank you, God, for the diversity of people that we have in this city. It's so relevant in these times. I thank you for all of these men and women that you've appointed to govern. God, we know that all authority is appointed by you. So I pray you would bless them, strengthen them in these crazy times, God. Strengthen and bless their families with health and prosperity. I'm reminded of the verse in Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. So, Lord, I pray that you would manifest your promises in these times. I pray, God, that you would give our city, our appointed officials, God, that you would give them new approaches, new revelation, new insight, God, in ways that they can govern, the ways that they can bring prosperity and hope to the citizens that they serve. I pray, God, that they would even be a light to other cities around them, that people would see the things that you have, God, that you have given them insight into, and they would ask, how did you do that? I pray that you would just give them miraculous ways to govern in these times. I thank you for each and every one of them. Bless them in Jesus' name in their time together. Thank you all.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shadi.
Thank you, Shadi.
Okay, we're going to go on to presentations, and we have one. It's just one presentation tonight. Oh, we have a couple, but we have a special one here for Marilyn Phelps, and this is item 11.1. And Cyrus, is this you?
Yes, Council. So thank you, Council. I hope you can see me all right. I'll take this moment to acknowledge Marilyn Phelps. The mayor has signed a proclamation that I would present to Marilyn in a few minutes. And I probably won't take the time to read all the whereases that we have on this proclamation, just say a few words that truly comes from my heart in having worked with Marilyn for close to 17 years, or even longer than that before in my other experiences with the Sacramento County. Marilyn joined the city team early on as a contractor, and ultimately we brought her on as a city employee, and she has been an incredible resource to this community. She has been an incredible resource to the city, to staff, and some of the highlights that I would like to mention about Marilyn and the work that she has done for us. She's been, first of all, a wealth of information and history and how to do things. So every time somebody needed some information about how something can be done, and even if there was not in any written manuals or books, she would find a way to do it in the most effective way, the most helpful way, and it was a pleasure to have her serve our community. She worked very closely with the development community, where she earned their respect and their trust, and they would always come to her to ask, to seek advice and to seek the information they were looking for. But I think, something that not too many people may know, and I really want to read this to you because she is an artist. She's an incredible artist and makes in making gourds. And I would let her explain what that is. In fact, to the point that she has been now serving as the president of the Sacramento Gourd Society. Am I saying that right, Marilyn? So part of it's the California Gourd Society. So she's asking, serving as the capacity in president capacity. She volunteers her time. She's done an amazing amount of community service and the work that she's done in advancing good causes. And we also very much enjoy her sense of humor. She has brought, she truly has brought a lot of joy and humor to this workplace, and it will be greatly missed. She's known for, we have some of our cultural and organization values are revolve around teamwork, and she has one person who has definitely exemplified that value, that culture, and the workplace culture that we've always wanted to create in this city. And for that, I'm really honored to recognize Marilyn for her years of service. She would be missed as he sails into her retirement plans and the work that she wants to do during her retirement. But at the same time, I'm also pleased that Marilyn has chosen to continue helping us in some capacity, not in full time, but she will continue working with us as a retired annuitant, and she would help us on select projects and the work that she will continue working with us. So with that, I also want to acknowledge Marilyn's husband, who is in the audience today, Tony. They have. For years, they had a very adventurous life. They lived on a boat. Some of you may know this. And eventually they settled down in El Dorado County in Pollock Pines. But they lived on a boat, and now they're very busy with their Corvette. So that's making the rounds on the weekends. So With that, I'm honored to present this proclamation that has been signed and sealed by our mayor, the Mayor David Sander, and we'll present that to Marilyn Phelps on the occasion of her retirement from the city service. Marilyn?
Thank
Please
you.
go ahead and say a few things.
Thank you. I'm not a very good public speaker, but I want to say that it's really been a fun and exciting time working for the city of Rancho Cordova, especially getting to come on the day one when it said, hey, you know, here's your phone. Take it out of the box and plug it in. And then I realized soon after, when I became a full-time employee, that it was a really smart decision on my part to make that move. And it's just been a lot of wonderful people that I've worked with. And I've had managers, supervisors that have been great people to work with. I want to, especially say Albert and Elizabeth and Cyrus have been just the greatest people to get to work under. And thank you.
We're going to take a minute and to do a picture. I know this is the COVID time, so you have to do it in a safe manner.
Yeah, it's in a safe manner.
So we'll do proper distance.
It's a funny picture, yeah.
At least get a picture, and you can have it. Okay.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
I'll send it to Maria.
So, David, can I make a comment?
Sure, go ahead, Linda.
Okay, so I want to congratulate Marilyn and Tony also. I knew them, I have known them, but like Cyrus, both for the same reasons. Because of Marilyn's work at the county when I was working at the county also. And then, and they actually sponsored us at the Sacramento Yacht Club when we had our boat and we joined the yacht club. And it was a great time in the world, and we all had lots of fun experiences. I remember the day that Marilyn got hired here at the city and how really thrilled she was. And Marilyn, like Cyrus, is one of these people who brought this incredible wealth of knowledge about what had gone on in Rancho Cordova before cityhood. And I know everything that Cyrus said is absolutely accurate, and she has been invaluable, and I'm so glad that she's going to be a retired annuitant. I'm sure they have a perfectly beautiful homestead up in Pollock Pines, and unfortunately, there's some of the people who've had to worry about defending their gorgeous property from fires also. But it's great to see Marilyn and Tony again, and happy sailing, guys. I wish you well.
Well, this is one of those retirements when you sort of have to look around and wonder, well, how do we do this without you, right? This is a big deal. So thank you for your service to Rancho Cordova, Maryland. We really we're all fans in one way or another. We know of your legend if we don't know of you personally that well. But thank you for your service to our community. All right, we are going to move on to item 11.2. 11.2 is a proclamation recognizing National Audiology Awareness Month and the contributions of CCHAT, which is right here in Rancho Cordova. That's Children's Choice for Hearing and Talking. The CCHAT Center makes on our city, and I think I'm doing this presentation remotely. Is there anyone to receive this proclamation?
We do have Dr. Isbell. She's joining us via Zoom, and there she is.
Oh, there she is. Very good. Dr. Isbell, welcome. So we have a proclamation, which you will be in possession of, I suppose, at some point.
David, I think she was trying to talk and it was on mute.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah, no, I just wanted to say thank you for honoring the Chat Center during October's Audiology Awareness Month. As an audiologist and a person with hearing loss, it's really so rewarding to see the kids that we work with and their families learn to listen and talk because I grew up with a lot of the same struggles as them. So thank you so much for acknowledging what we do.
Our pleasure. I think over the years, there have been a number of partnerships between the city council members, and CCHAT. We're really honored that you're here. We're happy to be able to help, and we're certainly happy to be able to recognize National Audiology Awareness Month for October 2020. So I'm just going to read a little bit of the text of the proclamation. Whereas the American Academy of Audiology started Audiology Awareness Month in 2008 as a means of bringing awareness to the hearing health and importance of hearing protection. And whereas the city of Rancho Cordova is home to the Children's Choice for Hearing and Talking, also known as the CCHAT Center, and whereas CCHAT is the only listening and spoken language program for children with hearing loss of its kind northeast of San Francisco, and whereas the intervention services are unduplicated by any other program also serving children who are deaf and hard of hearing under age 7, and whereas children who use hearing aids and cochlear implants to listen and develop spoken language, and whereas with intensive classroom instruction and individualized speech therapy that they get at CCHAT, sounds begin to take on meaning, children learn to think about what they are hearing, and the spoken language develops. Whereas children from birth through 3rd grade are enrolled with the goal of becoming competent in oral communication to achieve successful mainstreaming in their neighborhood schools, often by kindergarten or even 1st grade. And whereas the CCHAT Center also provides education, support, and encouragement for parents and families of the children that they serve. And whereas CCHAT offers newborn hearing diagnostic evaluations and support services, and whereas CCHAT's audiologist diagnoses and treats a patient's hearing and balance problems using advanced technology procedures, and whereas Rancho Cordova is proud to be home to the CCHAT Center and to bring awareness to the importance and the work of audiologists like Dr. Katie Isbell and programs that serve children with hearing loss, now therefore be it resolved, the city of Rancho Cordova does hereby proclaim October 2020 as National Audiology Awareness Month in the city of Rancho Cordova, and I have signed that proclamation to make it official. So thank you, Dr. Isbell, for being with us. Thank you for all your good work you do at CCHAT, and we look forward to many future collaborations.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thanks.
All right. Next up, I hope you have all had your cake delivered to your remote locations because we have a birthday to celebrate. And Garrett, what kind of cake is that was delivered to all of us? Your favorite?
Delicious
something.
Carrot cake. Carrot cake.
Carrot cake. Oh, I thought it looked a little bit more like chocolate, but I guess that's a carrot cake. Very, very good.
Carrot cake. So
all right.
good.
So,
Casey promised it to me this year.
Maybe next year. I predicted a year from now we would have this meeting in a public setting again. But all right, we need to do some kind of a happy birthday song. I think the last time that came. No singing?
No, singing. Definitely.
Oh, he wants singing.
Donald.
Okay. So
You don't want that.
Rotary has this tradition where you kind of sort of maybe somehow do a happy birthday that might sort of somehow sound like happy birthday, but often doesn't. So I suspect that with our best intentions, that's about all we're going to be able to achieve here. But we can certainly give it a shot. So let's everybody unmute yourselves. Staff, I want you in on this.
I'm going to mute myself just to
Donald, mute yourself. Seriously, everybody unmuted. All right, are we ready? Bob, you ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday
to you.
Happy birthday,
dear Garrett.
Happy birthday to Garrett.
Happy birthday to you.
We all sang on time. I don't believe it.
That was great. I don't know what you're talking about. That was awesome.
Awesome.
That was great.
Well, at least that was unique, if not heartfelt. All right, Garrett, congratulations. One more year. Okay, we are going to somehow transition from that to, carrot cake. I'm already looking forward to that next year. That'd be awesome.
Should I look on the front porch?
Yeah.
Of your new house. New house. All right,
There's
guys.
no cake.
Yeah, there was no cake. Sorry, if anyone's confused by that, no cake was delivered anywhere, but virtually we're all celebrating. All right, we are moving on to public comment. Item number 12. Stacy, do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, we do. So to remind the public, there are a couple of ways in which you can submit public comment. One, obviously attend our council meetings in person here at Rancho Cordova City Hall. Two, submit public comment via email before the start of the meeting. And three, you can also comment via telephone, and the instructions for the phone number are listed on the council agenda. There's several phone numbers in which you can call in and be able to raise your hand. And then fourth, you can, of course, use Zoom. And there is a raise hand feature, which I can see people using right now, that also allows you to be able to submit public comments. So we're going to start with those in the room, and we're going to start with Mark Berry. And following Mark will be Helen, and then we will go to those on the phone or via Zoom.
Okay, Mr. Gatewood, if you would run this part of public comment. I have a conflict, I think, on the comments that are about to be made here as they pertain to a project that's too close to my home. I'm not allowed to participate in public discussions on those. So, Garrett, if you would just run those two, and Stacy, if you would text me
It's just
when
one.
that person...
Just one.
Oh, it's just one?
Yes.
Okay. Text me when that one is done, and I'll come right back.
Sorry, Mayor.
All right. All right, go ahead.
So I think you know what I'm here to talk about, but I just thought I'd give a little bit of an update on the Cassis property development. My name's Mark Berry, and as you know, I'm from East Tiffany Lane, and we've been encouraging modification of the TrueMark proposed plan to keep 100 units out of the American River floodplain. So I know you've heard complaints from many of the neighbors that we weren't put on notice of some of the zoning changes, and they asked me to kind of look into to figure out why, how did this happen? So I did some research, and as the municipal code requires the property owners within 500 feet of a development of a property receive either a mailing or some kind of direct delivery of a notice. So nobody received that they could remember. So I actually did a California Public Records Act request to see what we may have been missing. And what I found actually is that no notices to any of the adjacent property owners were ever sent. So we are where we are today, but the property owners and the surrounding communities kind of been asked to wait until next year sometime to really provide public comment on this. And in the meantime, we feel that there's this piecemeal development that continues on the property. There was this consultant study that TrueMark put out that showed that, the Cassis property would not support business. And then they proposed only development of 240 homes there. Community never had an opportunity to respond to that. There's a proposed modification of the tree ordinance to waive $600,000 in tree mitigation fees. That seems to be out there as part of this development. Recently, there's no trespassing signs denying us access to easements we've all had for a long time that's associated with the property. There's been excessive disking going on out there that is not only getting in the way of the drainage easement that goes to the American River floodplain for East Tiffany Lane property owners, what I am, but also is destroying habitat when it does come to time to evaluate what's going on out there. And, and then I look in the file, and TrueMark's been soliciting, positive comments and positive letters from other organizations and groups without any public comments. And our concern is they're not being provided the full information that the community would provide them for those comments going into the file. So our request is that something be done about stopping kind of the ongoing piecemeal development that we feel is occurring on the site. And this is important because we think this is a serious issue, collapsing the upper plateau into the lower basin for only 100 housing units. So thank you for your time this evening. I appreciate the opportunity always to voice our views. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Gatewood, I just texted the mayor asking him to join us.
That's what I was going to say. Text him.
And I'm going to invite Helen up to the podium.
Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Welcome, Helen.
Hey. I am Helen Whalen Bashaw. I live at 2600 Tierra Grande. I live near Rod Beaudry Drive. And in that, I'm going to talk about horses on public streets. Horses on public streets. We have ordinance out for those that walk their dogs to clean up after them, but we have no ordinance for people who ride their horses on public streets. And dog poop versus horse poop is a big difference. In recent years, I've seen an increase, but ever since the COVID came along, there are some horse owners that are too cheap to park their trailers in Riverbend Park, where they have designated parking for horse trailers, where they have designated trails for horses, and instead they've elected to park on Rod Beaudry. I have been chewed out by a horse owner that was riding up across my neighbor's embankment, telling me what the such and such, are you the horse cop? And I told him, no, I'm a concerned neighbor and you're wrecking their embankment. So what did they do? They proceeded to clomp the horse down the embankment and pull dirt down. I believe the answer to this situation is poop sacks. They use them in Old Town Sacramento. They use them in City Park, in other areas. I believe that Rancho Cordova needs an ordinance because horse owners are not going to come back to pick up the poop. When they offload their horses out of their trailer, they clean the poop out on the street of Rod Beaudry or on the county's parking lot up the street. So I want poop sacks on horses. They're visible, so you can see that the horse manure will be picked up by the owner. I think it's a reasonable expectation, and we have nothing on the books that address the issue of horse poop on public streets. This is not the Old West. This is a residential area. And you should park your trailers in the park in the designated horse trailer places. Thank you for your time.
David, can I ask a question or make a suggestion to the commenter?
Sure.
Micah, are you in the shot there? Is that you? Sitting in the... Can I see you from the podium?
Yes, he's in the
podium. Micah, maybe you could talk to her because I think there's two things going on here. One is whatever the enforcement law would be within the city, but then also whatever we're going to talk about around this issue would really need to include the county and their enforcement of parking rules and other things like that. And I don't want to get into a back and forth, but so Micah, that's not you in the room then.
I am here. I can go downstairs.
Okay. And so I think it would be a great opportunity for that constituent to speak with Micah and our code enforcement team to see, because again, any way that we would try to address what you just asked for, and I'm not looking for more comments right now, ma'am. Thank you.
I think I should have the right, I still had 49 seconds to address your comments, to tell you what I've done with it. Do you guys disagree? But are we only allowing...
Yeah, normally once a public commenter has spoken, their public comment time is done.
So this is a dictatorship. Again, thank you very much.
Yeah. So I'm trying to help you here. I would suggest speaking with our staff and speaking with the county to come up with a reasonable solution that addresses it, because both of these areas are right next to each other, and just because you fix one side doesn't mean you fix the other. That's all. Thank you.
Helen, are you still there?
Yes, I am. Yeah, she's still here.
If she wants to use her 49 seconds, I think that's fine. If it informs us about the rest of the breadth of her comment.
Okay, I'm talking about Rancho Cordova Road, Rod Beaudry. What happens in the park is not my concern. They have rangers that can enforce that in the park. I think Rancho Cordova needs to address the fact that we have horses being walked down Rod Beaudry. It's a public street, and they're not cleaning up the poop. And those piles are huge. They're not little piles like a dog, but they're big. And I'm tired of cleaning it up, and I have been maintaining the public easement around my house and the private areas for almost about over 30 years. And I don't want to have to clean up horse poop anymore. I don't want to have to walk in it with my dogs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. All right, Stacy, do we have more public comment?
We do. Yes. We have one speaker via Zoom, which I am going to unmute and then have them speak. Able to Shine. I don't have a name, but if you'd like to introduce yourself, you have 3 minutes.
Able to Shine, be sure you unmute. If you can unmute, we'll take your comment. If not, we probably have to go on to another speaker. Okay, Stacy, unfortunately, I think we have to go to another speaker.
Let me try one other way. Able to Shine, can you speak now?
Oh, well, for a second.
I promoted them to a panelist to see if that made a difference, but
I don't hear any audio.
nor do I.
Still muted.
Yep. Okay, we'll move on. We'll move on to our next public speaker, Alina Hang.
My name is Alina Hang, and I am 10 years old. I live in the city of Santa Clara in California. Today, I'll be saying no to Prop 16. Prop 16 has affected many people, and I'm among those who think it is horrifying. If Prop 16 were to pass, life would get messed up.
Is this a recording?
Preferred races will have more benefits than others.
Is this a recording?
School, the preferred races will have.
Do you want to ask her?
Alina?
Yeah?
Did you, could you please continue?
Oh, okay. Preferred races have more benefits than others. Preferred races can go home with little pressure. They can do this because their percentage of going into the right college is cut. While on the other hand, other races have to try very hard because the percentage of them going to a better college is low. Almost everyone wants to play video games. But too bad I can't. Soon other people can go, and students will not try hard. Since we know that we will have a certain number of people go to a great college, we go home. Now, if everyone was relaxing at home and doing poorly at home, what is school? The school was supposed to encourage kids to learn and build knowledge. But now it's more like a school. So in a short period, teachers wouldn't try as students. The school would become another place to hang out. What do you think the economy would look like? Prop 16 seems harmless, but through consideration and thought, it can lead to a deadly end. Not only will the economy fall, but have you ever thought of the consequences? So please disapprove Prop 16. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Elena.
We have a couple of others.
Okay.
We have a couple of others, Mayor.
Okay, go ahead.
Ray, which I think just lowered his hand.
Oh. We're available, Ray, if you want to make a comment.
Nope, didn't go back up.
Nope.
And
All right.
I have no other speakers in the room.
Okay, last chance. Anyone else?
听不到声音吗？Hello。
Very good. We're going to move on to council reports. And Mr. McGarvey, you're up first.
Well, it's actually just one more thing that seems to be fitting 2020. At 3:15 this afternoon, there was an earthquake in Alaska, 7.5 at the Alaska Peninsula, and there was a tsunami warning for quite a while. It's been canceled now. And I thought, sounds like 2020 to me. I don't know. Another thing that kind of important to us is the school district. Folsom Lake College has decided to, not Folsom Lake College, Folsom Cordova, excuse me. November the 9th, the kindergarten and middle school and the elementary school are going to start in school if their parents decide they want to do that. If they want to stay away, they can, and just use the computer. November the 30th, you'll have the middle schools. They will start again. And then January the 3rd is when high school begins. So we've got a kindergartner and a 6th grade, 8th grader, and a senior at Cordova High. So they're all going to be going, we think, but we'll have to see what happens if any of the students show up with coronavirus. So we're hoping they don't. No, but this is a successful beginning again for the schools. I know the kindergartner is looking forward to having some friends rather than having to look at a picture on the screen. And we'll see what happens with the middle school and the high school. So keep your fingers crossed. I hope that it works. And that's what I've got.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Linda, you're up next.
So the only things I have to report about are regional transit. I told you, everybody, that RT has put together an ad hoc committee, a small committee, to look at new locations for their headquarters, to look at locations that would spread bus and rail maintenance out around the county. And so on Friday, a week ago, Friday, 10 days ago, we toured some locations in South Sacramento. We went to the Campbell Soup Plant, which was really interesting. I've never been there before. And then Campbell Soup Plant is really has some interesting plans for tearing down a lot of the old manufacturing buildings and replacing them with new state-of-the-art buildings that would attract a better quality tenant. And as it turns out, there's an absolutely enormous distribution center for Macy's over there, which I really didn't know anything about. We also toured a building that they have at McClellan, out on the west side of McClellan, which is a huge barn of a building, and nice to have a piece of property out there, but it's absolutely, almost absolutely no value to them. And then on Monday, a week ago today, then we came out and toured locations here in Rancho Cordova. As you can imagine, we have a variety of locations that are very suitable for them for office space. They're also looking at areas around the Hazel Light Rail Station for bus and light rail maintenance, which would be a real compliment. And then other things, there is a flyer being circulated, and I'm not sure whether we have this flyer in City Hall or not, but it turns out that on this Wednesday, the 21st, from 4 to 5 in the afternoon, there is going to be a public workshop on what they're calling high-capacity transit. High-capacity transit is the new name for the old BRT idea, where bus takes over an individual lane on a public roadway, and nobody but the bus can use that lane. They did it on Watt Avenue, and it was a total flop. So from my perspective, BRT is kind of of technology whose time passed. But at any rate, if Stacy or Albert or somebody does not have this flyer, and I will send it over to them so that somebody can participate. And there is actually a survey that people can respond to also to give their opinions. Sunrise is one of the main roadways that they are thinking about for BRT. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Linda. Next up, Donald.
Thank you. I'll be fairly brief. Like many
If you're not,
of you,
we got a lot of background noise. If you're not speaking, try to mute yourselves, please. Go ahead, Donald.
Like a lot of you, I attended the League of California Cities conference virtually this year. No more in Long Beach. Yeah, there is somebody that's making a lot of noise in the background, and I'm not sure where that's coming from. Anyways, there were some good sessions on COVID response and a whole bunch of other stuff. But it was a good conference. You know, I think they put out some really good content. I participated last weekend in a video that myself and one of my coworkers, who actually is a board member for CHAT, their annual fundraiser was this past week. And in the past, or at least last year, Garrett and I actually participated in their tricycle and ties event where we raced tricycles around a racetrack next to their school to raise money. So this year we did a virtual bike ride, and so myself and Bindu Jardaram, who's a regional manager for my bank, who's also a board member, us and our kids went and rode the bike trail down in the south area of Rancho. And then also I did a photo shoot for social media for them as part of their virtual fundraiser that they're doing. And I think she told me most of you had donated to that from your discretionary account. If you haven't, I'm pitching you one more time. We just honored a great school and a great nonprofit. They're trying to raise money. If you haven't, please join me in matching what I gave, which I believe was $500. And if anybody wants me to verify that, I will. But it was $500 or $250. Either way, hopefully you all match what the rest of us have done. Want to thank the Chamber and the Community Council for hosting a candidate forum. I don't think they knew that was also the same night as the VP debate, which turned out to be a very long evening if you stayed up like I did and watched that rerun after doing the town hall. But it was a great time, great questions, and they were able to figure out how to get the public to be able to participate. I don't think I've said it here, and we'll be getting our licenses soon for this, but we did adopt 2 new kittens into the Terry household. This is just a personal report. But we have Cookie, who is 3 months old, and Luna, who's probably more like 4 or 5 months old. Little black and white cats. We got them from the county shelter just off of Bradshaw. And then I think finally, I wanted to thank the county has been hosting, and I don't know how many of you have gotten on there, but they've been hosting, I don't know if this is weekly or bi-weekly, county health public forums for people to ask questions and to get briefings from the county health officers about what's going on. And I just wanted to, I know we've spent a lot of time kind of beating up on the county for some of the decisions that they've been making, but our county health officers are really doing a great job and are working very hard to try to keep the public informed, even if they're not getting the kinds of funding that they're supposed to be getting. I just want to appreciate Dr. Baylison and I believe Dr. Kassiri, if I'm saying that right, for all of their hard work in trying to keep the public informed and safe. That's it for me. David, if you have called on someone, you're on mute. No, none of us heard you.
Garrett, you're up.
All right, just a couple things. Great event the city ran for getting rid of e-waste. had a lot of people actually come out. So I went out there and dropped off a bunch of stuff too. But yeah, it was a great event. Good to see people. I think people actually dressed up to go throw trash away, which is a weird experience just to get out of their house. Met with the STA board. That's a depressing group. Right now, we're lucky that we got the money when we did and Cyrus had the projects ready to go, because if we hadn't, they are light probably $65 million. And between Caltrans, the City of Sacramento, and everyone else, they are deciding who's not going to get paid or who's not going to get their projects pushed through. And so they're trying to say, oh, if we find other funding and revenue streams and stuff like that, then we'll be able to overcome it. And I said, there's no way after COVID, between this bill going up, that we would have extra money. So we're just lucky that we got in when we did, because a lot of people are going to get shorted quite a bit in ongoing projects. And that's it for me. And that is it for me on my birthday.
Question for Garrett.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There's something that just came over on the internet or somewhere about STA doing a new study for a new Measure A, and they have a timeline starting this month and continuing for 3 or 4 months. They're doing some sort of an analysis and then coming back with a second phase of analysis. Does that ring any bells?
That wasn't discussed, so that must be something that the manager is trying to enact himself because of the major loss in revenue. I think we all just got to get ready for all the major new taxes that everyone's getting ready to try to push on everybody, because they didn't even bring that up. And I was we were in that coordination group. The only thing they talked about was what to do with the deficit to all the groups that hadn't got their money yet.
Okay.
Interesting.
It just came across from somewhere today.
Yeah, I also just saw that pop up, Linda, though I didn't have a chance to read it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, well, I have done a lot of meetings in the past 2 weeks. I'm not sure I can actually even list them all. Rotary meetings by Zoom, SACOG board meeting by Zoom, Building Strong Neighborhood meeting, Mr. Terry and I. Let's see, Ranch Cordova luncheon last week, which is sort of Whistle Stop Point Part 2. Various League of City meetings, because their annual meeting was last week. Maybe some of you participated in some of those. If you didn't see anything, I would encourage you to watch the opening session, and not the boring part of the opening session, but the primary speaker of the opening session, which should still be available online. Very remarkable, motivational speaker, definitely worth your time. Had good discussions with the Sacramento Valley Division, and met with the Criminal Justice Council of Sacramento County by Zoom, of course. And this is one of those meetings that you get added to your calendars, Mayor, and you may not even attend them all the time. I try to, but the most remarkable discussions can occur there, including this past month, discussion that within the jail system, not a single case of COVID has occurred. In other words, there haven't been any spread of the coronavirus among inmates. What they've done is fully isolate anyone coming in. They severely limit any contact with inmates from the outside world. So it's a very isolated place. They screen their employees. They test their employees regularly at the jail. And so as a result, in Sacramento County jails, the entire system, no cases of transmission. But the oddity, of course, is that they have had to release parole or not accept hundreds of inmates out of fear that they might get COVID when they're in jail. So there's this very ironic situation going on where lots of people have been released from jail or are not going to jail because the jail's not allowed to hold them out of fear of COVID, and there's basically no COVID in the jail that's spreading. So that was an interesting meeting. I participated in a mayor's digital roundtable last week, and we had a very productive RCAA meeting. But probably the best event, the most fun I had in the last week, was an event where the city, let's turn off political calls here, an event where the city was handing out hand sanitizer and locally made masks to the public. We had a drive-through in front of City Hall, had a lot of people show up, had good media attention, promoted the heck out of it, and we still have materials available if people are interested in picking those up at City Hall. Stacy, I don't know if you know anything about this, or Cyrus, but my understanding is you just go to the desk, the counter down below, tell them what you're there for, that you need masks for your family. They will give you masks that are appropriately sized for your family, and even perhaps gender specific. Those kind of requests could be met. And not only are the masks locally made, but the hand sanitizer is also a product locally. So it was a great event, and I think a great service to our residents. We've done a lot of things that are COVID related this year, including supplying, masks to businesses when they couldn't get them, and we had sources for them. But it was nice to be able to do this for residents as well. I think I would have expected demand to be greater, quite frankly, than it was. But that's also a sign that, people are taking care of themselves and do have access to the supplies they need. So it was a great effort. I want to applaud staff for that effort. Well done. And of course, it is still available if you need it. With that, I think, Cyrus, or Adam, I should say. Adam, we need to, in some way, recognize Cyrus's performance, as his performance review was a topic of our closed session. I'm not sure we did that earlier. Do you want to do that at this point?
Yes, I'd be happy to. Thank you. I just wanted to.
Adam, go ahead.
Sure. I wanted to acknowledge that the City Council, in its closed session earlier this afternoon, conducted the City Manager's annual performance evaluation and concluded that in the past year, his overall performance has been exceptional.
Okay, very good. That was not a difficult decision. Congratulations, Cyrus. Well done.
Thank you, Council. Appreciate it.
And so with that, we'll go to our City Manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me also start with my report from the closed session. The City Council also conducted the City Attorney's performance evaluation this afternoon and determined that the overall performance of the City Attorney's services to the City of Rancho Cordova has been exemplary. So with that, I want to acknowledge the great work that Adam has given to the city.
Very good. Well done, Adam.
Thank you very much.
And the only other thing, Mr. Mayor, if I may add, related to the report you gave on the face masks and the hand sanitizers, the one other thing that we've done in addition to making these available at the counter and the giveaway event that we had last Wednesday, we have also given the supply to our food lockers, Folsom Cordova Partnership, Cordova Community Council, Salvation Army, and many other community organizations. So these are available through different sources for our community members to have access to. And the only, on one final note, is that many of you are aware that Comfort Inn on Folsom Boulevard near Hazel Avenue has been used as a temporary housing facility or shelter for at-risk homeless individuals. Those are at-risk individuals homeless individuals that may be vulnerable to COVID-19, and they have been receiving 24/7 service at that facility. About over 100 of those individuals, and based on the information we've received from the County Board of Supervisors is hearing an item tomorrow afternoon to extend that service through the end of the year with an option to extend it to the end of March. I just wanted to give you that heads up. This discussion will be happening at the County Board of Supervisors tomorrow afternoon. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Cyrus. And of course, I hope I don't hear any more rumors of City of Folsom taking credit for the shelter that's in the city of Rancho Cordova. That was an odd twist of events.
When did that happen?
Right. We are moving on to consent calendar items. Item number 15. Consent calendar items consist of matters deemed routine and non-controversial by staff. Unless a member of the council wishes to pull an item for individual consideration, all items will be approved by one motion. So we're talking about items 15.1 through 15.8. Are there any items here that the council wishes to pull?
Hearing none, I'll move approval of items 15.1 through 15.8.
Mayor, we
Second.
need,
Motion made.
Mayor,
Mayor, we have an item that needs your attention, please.
item number 15.5 needs to be continued to the next council meeting.
Okay, Linda, would you accept that as an amendment to your motion?
Absolutely.
And the second as well, Mr. Terry?
Yep.
Okay, we will move the remainder of the consent calendar items, excluding item 15.5, otherwise 15.1 through 15.8. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Budge,
Yes, with a congratulations on getting a nice grant to help the American River Ranch.
Councilmember Terry,
Aye.
Councilmember McGarvey,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gatewood.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Sander.
Aye. Okay, and then we will take up item 15.5, and you need a motion to continue. Just to a date certain or open-ended?
I'm going to ask Kim. I would imagine it's just next week, or the next council meeting, but I'm going to bring her on and let
All
her
right.
respond to that. Kim,
Good evening, Mayor. Yes, sorry, my computer was acting. Good evening, Mayor, Council. This is Kim Duran-Cara, Georgia Administrative Services Director, and we are moving this item to the next meeting. It was just a minor detail of missing the not to exceed amount of the contract in that item.
Okay.
So I will move that we continue item 15.5 to what I think is the 2nd of November.
Yes.
Okay.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Was the second? Who was the second? Bob?
Mr. McGarvey.
Thank you.
Um,
Councilmember Terry?
Aye.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Budge?
Yes.
Councilmember McGarvey?
aye.
Vice Mayor Gatewood?
Yes.
Mayor Sander?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that completes item 15. We're moving on to item 16, consent public hearing items. Consent public hearing items consist of matters deemed routine and non-controversial by staff. Unless a member of the council wishes to pull an item for individual consideration, all items will be approved by one motion. I'm going to open the public hearing. Do we have any speaker cards on these items?
We do not.
Okay, if you would like to comment, you would need to raise your hand at this point. Seeing none, I am going to close the public hearing. Are there any of these items?
I will move approval of items 16.1 and 16.2.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Terry?
Aye.
Councilmember Budge?
Yes.
Councilmember McGarvey?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gatewood?
Yes.
Mayor Sander?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item number 17, public hearing items, and we have item 17.1. It's a minor design review and referral to council for an outdoor storage facility located at 3836 Security Park Drive within Security Park DD 9970. And we must have a staff report on this one. I'm not sure who's up for that. Is it Darcy?
It is June and Darcy.
June. All right. Go right ahead.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. This is June Cowles, the Planning Department. So let me just make sure that I can have control of the PowerPoint. Okay. So the applicant is requesting a minor design review for the outdoor recreational vehicle storage facility, parking spaces for recreational vehicles within a fenced yard area on approximately 5.9 acre site, and landscaping and lighting. In addition, the applicant is proposing that the outdoor storage area fence material to be a chain link fence with slats instead of a solid fence or wall. So staff is requesting the City Council make a determination on the appropriate fencing material. So the site is located within Security Park at 3836 Security Park Drive. And this slide shows the zoning and future land use. The project site is zoned heavy manufacturing district M2, and it's also located within the South Sacramento Habitat Conservation Plan area. And you can see to the west is the preserve for Rio del Oro specific plan. And north, east, and south is still the Security Park M2 zoning district. So on February 10th, code enforcement responded to a complaint regarding a non-permitted use at the project site. And the site contained approximately 560 storage metal containers. The site was graded with gravel, and some vehicles were parked on pervious surface. In addition, a 7.5-foot high chain link fence with slats was installed surrounding the yard area. So city staff met with the applicant regarding the non-permitted use and grading on site. The applicant then submitted a development application for this outdoor recreational vehicle storage yard. So the proposed site plan includes the landscaping chain link fence with slats for the screening around the storage yard, security gates and lighting, parking spaces for the recreational vehicles on non-pervious surface, and also a 50-foot wide buffer around a wetland area, which is just west of the site. So this shows what the proposed site plan as conditioned. Again, it's in the South Sacramento Habitat Conservation Plan area, which includes a 50-foot buffer from the preserve area. So this project has been conditioned along the west property line. There's the preserve, and that they include the 50-foot wide buffer plus a 5-foot wide landscape area along the western property lines and wetland area. So looking at the request of the City Council for determination on the fencing material, the zoning code states that the outdoor storage areas shall be enclosed and screened from view from the public right-of-way and abutting property by a solid fence or wall, a minimum of 6 feet in height. The applicant is proposing the following screening instead of a solid fence or wall: the 7.5-foot high chain link fence with the HDPE plastic slats with landscaping to screen the storage yard, a 25-foot wide landscaping that includes various shrubs and trees located outside the chain link fence, and that's along Security Park Drive and Quicksilver Drive, and then a 5-foot wide evergreen shrub along the preserve and north property line. The project includes the conditions that native plants are required along the preserve. So here it shows the proposed landscape plan. This does not include that 50-foot buffer, but if that 50-foot buffer would just have this evergreen shrub, and along the preserve on the western property line, that would have to be native shrubs. So we asked the applicant that they had a facility that had the chain link fence with the landscaping, and they had one at this facility is located at 11277 Coloma Way. So along the public right of way, you can see the landscaping. I think that's the oleander shrubs with some trees. And then, of course, the picture on the bottom shows the inside of just with that chain link fence. Again, here's an aerial photo with the zoning districts. So the nearest point from the storage facility to residential, which would be the future Rio del Oro, is approximately 1,050 feet. And then across the preserve, the closest point is 2,600 feet. The star on the slide represents where I took some pictures on the next slide. And also there's a dot that you can see, and that will also be represented in the next pictures. So the picture on the right is I was taking a picture towards the storage facility. You can see there's a recreational vehicle already parked there. And then the pictures looking on the right-hand side, those are looking from the site western property line towards Douglas Road. You can see that line of trees that's along Douglas Road. And then looking from the site western property line towards the preserve. That dot represented on the aerial is that building that's located within the preserve. So staff recommends the City Council find the project to be in compliance with CEQA guidelines section 15183. And staff asked the City Council to make a determination regarding the fencing material and also adopt resolution approving the minor design review for the Rancho Cordova storage CD 9970 with project plans, attachment 2, and conditions of approval. And with that, the applicants are here to answer any questions, and staff is also here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, June. I'm going to open the public hearing on this item.
Can I ask June a question, please?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay, so June, could you go back to figure 1? It's the aerial.
The first aerial?
Must be, it's figure 1.
Okay.
Keep going. That one.
This one. Okay.
What's the boundary of Security Park?
If looking at the aerial, it's in the gray area. This M2. And then outside of this is the wetland preserve Rio del Oro.
But is the gray line the boundary of Security Park?
Yes.
Okay, so now go back to figure 1. Are all those white lines roads, or are they individual parcel lines?
Those are individual parcel lines.
I wonder who owns them. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Linda, along the lines you just mentioned or implied, we need some sort of a better tool to deal with Security Park going forward. This is a single project, but I think what we need is some kind of a strategy. Obviously, just on this image, you can see there's residential development to the south, to the east, It's coming to the north. It's going to be kind of remote on the west and to the northwest. But nonetheless, we've now got this sort of industrial facility being surrounded by housing. And for the best of both of them, we need some sort of a strategy. And what comes to mind for me is a special planning area or some kind of treatment like that, as opposed to a one-off deal here. And secondly, although I support the chain link fence as it's there. But secondly, I think we need some kind of a screening mechanism that isolates Security Park from the neighboring community. And again, it's for the benefit of both. It might be the largest tree planting project the city's ever undertaken. We could take some pride in that. Making sure they're native trees might be more of a challenge, but I think if the owners in this area want to do an SPA with us, that would make a ton of sense. Having some sort of a buffer between them and the neighboring community is going to make a lot of sense. It's going to save us a lot of complaints in the future, and will increase property values, I think, for all concerned. So aside from the recommendation here, I hope that we as a city will undertake those two concerns or projects.
And David, as you know, I completely agree with you. It's like the old neighborhood preservation area that we had under the county zoning code. The idea was that you could avoid places like the Power Inn industrial corridor across the street from residential by ensuring that the area was well screened, that things like light and noise and fumes or smoke or vapors or noxious whatevers did not leak over into the adjacent residential areas. And if it requires native plants, that's easy to do too. You've got a lot of options like manzanita, which is native, and would make a very thick, very handsome buffer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just think if we had a plan here, we could protect the owners out there of both homes and these business properties, and perhaps even allow the owners of the business properties to, see greater upside as a result of this, because this is a great location with a lot of potential employees around you, assuming you don't have a use that somehow conflicts with that. But the buffer here is large, so I think we can make this work.
I agree with you. It's also historic.
That's right. This is the McDonnell Douglas home base, right? I think, for their test stands that were further to the west.
Yeah. We just saw a video. There was just a video on one of the TV channels. I'm sure Maria could find it for us. All about the beginnings of Security Park and the giant building that I always think of as parachute drawing. It's not, but that's the way I think of it. And it was really a fascinating video that somebody made quite some time ago.
I've seen some clips. I think there was a spectacular engine failure on one of the stands located to the west of here.
Right.
They talk about potentially upsetting the progress of the Apollo program at the time.
Right.
If that might be the same video, I don't know. All right. Other council members, you have comments or questions on this topic, or we can certainly hear from the applicant. Anything, colleagues? The specific question is, of course, do you approve of the chain link fence? What are the material requirements of the chain link fence? I think those are the immediate questions in front of us. Any opinions?
Well, unfortunately, I have to tell you that I can't vote for the slats. Slats have historically been a problem in all of our industrial areas. They are not maintained. They fall apart. It's like missing teeth practically. And for in the 60s and 70s and 80s, it was the way to screen an industrial property. But when we wrote our first zoning code and adopted it in 2006, we took slats out of the zoning code. And so I really am not interested in having slats returned. Having said that, I completely support the landscaping plan that they've showed. They obviously have demonstrated that it's really going to work out in the long run, and I'm willing to wait the time that it takes for their landscaping materials to grow up and create that wonderful buffer that they're talking about.
David, I think my only comment would be is, you know, we have design standards for a reason. And, you know, I don't like making a lot of deviations from that, because ultimately we adopted certain standards so that everybody understands what they are and they can comply with them. And in this case, it sounds like some work was done without even asking. And so I'll take the staff's recommendation and somebody can, you know, let's try to work together to make it work. But ultimately, I don't like setting precedent that we're approving stuff that doesn't meet our standards. And again, I am not the designer. This is not the part of my city council service that I relish or enjoy or really get excited about. I leave that to Linda and David to a lesser extent. What the point about is in working with businesses and developers is being predictable, and being able to show this is what you have to do if you're going to come here, or you're going to build and you're going to ask for a permit. And in this case, it sounds like we're going backwards and ask for the permit now that a lot of it's in. That's very disappointing. But that being said, I'm fine with voting for this with the understanding that I hope staff and code and everybody else understand I don't like doing this, and don't bring these to me very often, because I don't like deviating from a standard that everybody else has to follow.
Garrett, Bob?
I think the fence looks like it would be something that would work out there. The slats is something I know Linda doesn't like, and it's something that we turned down in the past, and I think that should be something that's going to be followed also. Otherwise, I don't have any problem with it.
So you would agree, no slats, Bob? Is that what I just heard?
Right.
Okay. Garrett?
Yep. Agreed. I agree with Donald.
Okay. Do we have an applicant here?
Darcy's going to speak to that.
Good evening, Mayor, member of the council. It appears that we do have applicants, but it doesn't appear that they are on the Zoom unless one of them is and would like to raise their hand. But it doesn't appear the names that we have logged into the Zoom.
So one person.
David, you're muted.
One person has their hand raised. So let me.
I see one hand up, I think. Powcon, Powcon.
Yes, that's one of the applicants, Rick Powell.
Okay, Powcon, if you want to unmute yourself, we're happy to have your comment. Let's see, still muted. It's a lot easier when they're in the room, and we're all in the room. We don't have the remote technical challenges, but here we are.
I'm sorry, can the
there we go. We hear you.
Okay. Again, my name is Rick Powell. I'm one of the applicants for the owners. And if the city councils are going to request the slats be removed, I don't think we'd have a problem with that. Actually, I kind of got thrown under the bus. It was my decision to put the fence up, but we were under the assumption originally that it was on a private property. And I'm not sure if any of the city council has been out there and actually looked at the site and compared it with some of the existing properties that are out there. We're hoping that what we're going to do is far and above beyond what all the other property owners have done out there.
I actually did visit the site last week when this showed up on our agenda. And what is there, what you built there, is probably the most attractive frontage in the area. So you've definitely sort of raised the standard in that sense.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments, council or applicant?
So I can make a motion if we're ready.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I will move that we find that the environmental documentation is adequate and appropriate, and that we determine that the chain link with the landscape screening is appropriate, but no slats, and that with that change, we adopt the resolution for their storage minor design review.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. McGarvey. Any discussion of the motion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember McGarvey?
Aye.
Councilmember Budge?
Yes.
Councilmember Terry?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Gatewood?
Yes.
Mayor Sander?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, we did not discuss in any further detail that idea about an SPA for this area, or some sort of a buffer being needed, or how we are going to have to work with the adjacent preserve and determine what exactly the setback is and how it applies. But those are, I think, all priorities for us to undertake. And we assume through this action that staff will continue to work with the applicant, particularly on the third item. Try to find reasonable resolution.
Absolutely.
Thank you, council.
And I guess Lyndon Garrett, you might be taking that up with your role on the Habitat Conservation Plan.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, and you're quite welcome. We are moving on to regular calendar items, and an extremely exciting item, item 18.1, Youth Center Update.
So.
Now, I don't have to say that, but I will, that when we first voted to incorporate, and we were about to vote to incorporate, we did a big meeting in the community, had, I don't know how many people, Linda, Bob, 50, 100 leaders sitting in a room trying to figure out what is a priority for this new city going to be. And one of the things that we agreed on, kind of above anything else, was we have to be supportive of our kids. It has to be about our kids. And we have done a lot as a city for our kids. But this particular item might speak to that more than anything else we've done so far. So it is really exciting to see this move forward.
David, it's fun to have you bring that up, because everybody voted, and the top 5 requests all had to do with things for children.
It was all kids. Why do we want a city? Apparently for our kids. That was the dominant thought.
Yeah.
All right, who's got the lead on this one? Cyrus, are you kicking it off?
Yes, yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll kick it off, and thank you for that introduction. As you mentioned, this has been a long-standing dream of our community to have a youth center. And about a year ago this time, through the great relationship that our Police Activities League had made with one of our local churches, the Center of Praise Ministries, we were able to receive a very generous contribution from them to one of their buildings to turn into youth center. And you may recall, it was just a short month ago. It looked like a long time ago. This is right pre-COVID, where we celebrated and thanked Bishop Parnell Lovelace and his team for their generous contributions and the work that our Police Activities League had done to that day to make this dream come a little closer to reality. So after that, after we received the authorization from the City Council to move ahead with it, the Council also allocated some funds. We have set aside about $3 million to bring this dream to reality, and we assembled a great team to start working on this project. And I'm going to start with a member of the city team, Megan Siren, who's been taking the lead on this project, and she's done an amazing job of leading this and bringing some exciting plans that we're going to present to you in just a minute, and hopefully receive your blessings to take it to the next level for construction. But I just want to take this opportunity not only to thank Siren for her hard work, but Megan Siren for her hard work, but also Officer De La Cruz, who's also here in the audience. And it was through the PAL's commitment and dedication and the work they did that this is, we're even talking about a youth center for this community. So I want to thank them, to acknowledge their work, and turn it over to Megan to tell us what we've done and introduce the team that's been working on it, and also present some of the concepts that we are presenting to you for the design of this facility.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Megan Siren, Senior Management Analyst with the City. And tonight we are super excited to provide an update on the Youth Center project. We will go through and introduce the team that we have assembled. We will show proposed interior and exterior elements, as well as seek your input on options for the entry treatments. And we will present the schedule and the budget. We want this to be interactive, so please provide your comments and inputs throughout the presentation. We just want to highlight what the facility currently looks like, just to remind you all, since it's been a while. So we have created quite the team to help with this project. We have several city departments that are actively involved in this project, including the building department, facilities, and our CPD PAL is actively involved. We've also had community members that are involved, including Center of Praise Ministries. We have our consultant team assisting us with the architectural plans and engineering plans. We have Carl Chan and Kim Altamero with Kalpoham and Dawn with us tonight, and they will help present the plans. We also have Theron Roshan with Interwest Consulting here tonight, who will also be helping us through this presentation. So at this point, I will introduce Carl and Kim, and they will go forward with the actual next steps.
Mr. Mayor and Council, as Carl is walking to the podium, I just wanted to highlight that we've had a long-standing relationship with Carl. His firm has been the company that has helped us with the design of this city hall, and also our MAC, our art center at Mather. So this is, and also police department. So they've had a very long-standing relationship with the city.
Well, thank you, Cyrus and Megan. Good evening, City Council members. First off, happy birthday to Vice Mayor Gatewood. I apologize for not being here to help sing happy birthday to you. But moving along here, the slide that you see here is really a site plan that is conceptual, showing an overview of the project itself. Starting, I guess, beginning with the right side, or what we would call the reference north, there's actually two driveways off of Investment Circle, and that leads into the existing parking lot currently, and we will be upgrading that somewhat, replanning part of the accessibility route from the sidewalk onto the main building. The main building, or the community building, is right there in the center to the left of the parking lot. And then we'll get into a little bit more in depth in the next slide in terms of the interior of that building. The moving through the building, going out to the back or the south, which is to the left, is the proposed basketball court, which is situated closer to the Investment Circle Street, while we have also a covered seating area as well as a fitness and play area right below that. And really up to that particular point is what we would deem as phase one currently. And it is proposed budget on a rough magnitude order here of about roughly estimated to be $4 million. The phase 2 is really to the left of that, and what's left of that is really planned as a multi-sport playing field with artificial turf. And that's estimated to be somewhere around $300,000, and that's going to be a part of phase 2. This is the interior planning of the facility itself, the main building. And we've numbered them to give ease of visual for the different aspects of this building. Number 1 is coming off the parking lot is number 1, where we have the secured entry. There is a counter there along with an interior set of double doors that is controlled access for any visitors coming in. And then also to the right of that is a number 2, which is, I guess, in purple. That is being reserved as part of the office for the church's use. I believe that was their request. And then moving right through the facility there down to the central part, which is number 7. That is the main portion of the building and is central and is being used as a large recreation or game room. And off of that, is branching off of that on either side, for example, with 4 and 5 are the reading, creative writing rooms and the art and music room, while on the right side of that, 9 and 8 are the team rooms and multi-purpose room. Moving past the main central part of the building is, I guess, number 6 right now. It's proposed to have a boxing ring or a gym area. And then after that is really out to the back where we had shown the basketball court and the covered seating areas.
So moving along to the interior perspectives here, to the top left is the main recreational room or game room that Carl had mentioned. In this perspective here, it carries on the main theme of the playfulness and youthfulness of the space, bringing in whimsical colors, bright colors into the space. So the top left corner is looking from the recreational game room into the boxing / gym room. And to the top right image is the interior space of the gym room, gym and boxing room. And we're carrying in, again, the colors, the bright colors into that space. And within that space, we're also bringing in images of what the function or the use of that space is. These images here, we're showing young kids in boxing gloves and equipment. These images are just placeholders, but just kind of giving you an idea of what those images are. To the bottom left image is the art and music room. These are the space where the youth would be conducting painting, sculpture, a lot of activities in that space. And again, we're bringing in the colorful colors in there with the angles as well to carry on that theme. On the bottom right corner is the secured entry lobby area. With the left side is your reception security window. Again, we're bringing in the bright and angular colors into there. And to the next slide, another 3 images of the interior space. Again, the top left and the top right is viewing in the recreational game room. Again, this is the center of the whole facility. On the image to the left, we're using artwork along the walls to, again, emphasize the playfulness and angular patterns that we're carrying from the outside of the facade of the building that's echoing into the interior space. To the right, to the top right, again, is the recreational room, viewing back into the boxing ring. And then to the center is the staff lounge, again, bringing in the colors, the bright colors. And as you view to the left, there is a storefront window that's looking out into the staff outdoor patio space.
Please keep in mind, these are all conceptuals, but at the same time, the building currently, most of the ceilings are basically grid ceilings at about 9 feet or so. What we're proposing is to open up the space and give it more volume and basically open up the ceiling to the roof deck above. And so it just gives the space a lot more, I think, more spatial meaning to it. And it just really plays on the roominess of that, as well as really the colors, is to show the energy and the vibrancy of the youth. And hopefully everybody is excited when they come in here and they want to come in here. Some of the slides, if you see the top 2 slides, it shows some ceiling, but they're, what we call clouds, so to speak, and they are of acoustical value because of the high ceiling. There could be reverberations in terms of sounds, and that helps deadens the sound a little bit, as well as, some playfulness. Again, it doesn't have to be white. It could be different colors. So we've kind of depicted that with several of those tiles, just to show that it can be that way. In terms of the bottom slide, the lounge area, that patio is actually, it's actually adjacent to the parking lot itself, and we'll see it in the next slide in terms of where it is on the building.
Next one. So this one is the entry option 1. There's 2 options as far as the exterior entry. This was option 1, which is the pergola element. As you see it to the top left corner, there's these steel frame that's in front of the building. These are freestanding frames to kind of highlight the entrance of the building. And again, as you can see on the exterior walls, we're playing with the theme of these angular lines that kind of breaks up the surface of the building. We're also adding on silhouettes of activities of what the building is going to be used for, from the interior to the exterior, playing with the colors as well. Where the pergola structure is on the top of that, the yellow, what we're showing as yellow panels, angled panels. Again, we're looking at that as either, it could be a clear glass, colored glass, or some sort of plexiglass or frosted some sort of a frosted panel. And then to the bottom right, we're looking straight forward from the parking lot, straight in front of the building. And you can see more of the angular shape on top of the panel, on top of the structure. And we're emphasizing the verbiage, signage of the Rancho Cordova Youth Center.
Also on top of that, you see some silhouettes on the wall. That is really to, again, give an idea of what this building is really about, and hopefully it creates interest so that it draws people into that building. Now, these particular silhouettes are not necessarily painted on the wall. In fact, we were thinking about actually standing them off of that wall, and they could be a metal mesh kind of artwork that could really highlight that wall. Even in the evening, you could backlight it, and then during the day, maybe give some shadow play on it, so it gives a more three-dimensional image of that wall. So it's just again more energy and more vibrancy to the building.
And to add on to Carl, as far as the silhouette and lighting, backlighting, that we also looked at the angled panels on top of the structure. We've also proposed to provide some sort of an uplight onto that structure, so you can see in the evening a light silhouette of that angled roof structure. So this is for option 1, and then the next slide would be option 2. This one is to kind of push the envelope a little bit more as far as the existing structure. This option is really highlighting the entry tower element. This one allows to break the symmetry of the overall volume of the structure. This also allows that the tower entry really emphasizes the entrance into the building and what is the actual front facade or the frontal of the overall structure. This one also will allow, because this is north facing, this will allow the tower will allow the natural light into the building. And then in the evening, we will position light fixtures inside the tower and to illuminate the tower in the evening. So it becomes like a beacon in the night for the neighborhood. And then as you see on the image to the left, as Carl had mentioned, from the previous slides of the interior staff lounge, that there is a staff exterior patio. On the left image, there is, as you can see, some framing below the colored silhouette. That is the actual location of the staff exterior patio area.
And now I guess we're going to go and pass this on to Theron.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Theron Roshan with Interwest Consulting. I'm an engineer with them, and it's indeed a pleasure to be back working with the city and with Carl and his architectural team. I was on the Mather Arts project, 1,001 details, maintainability, security. So our role is to try to make sure that the project gets delivered. On the slide you have in front of you is a project delivery schedule. And so the green is essentially complete. We've assembled the team. We've done an ADA assessment. You've seen the preliminary layouts. We've done preliminary design and cost estimates to get us to this point. I will also say we've looked at things like taking the tiles off the interior ceiling to look at the roof line, HVAC reviews. We have a geotech underway looking at parking lot rehabilitation. A lot of work to get us to this point. As we move into the next phase, we want to have the final design and complete that package. And that would take place now through early 2021. It's an aggressive schedule. We recognize the urgency of getting this project underway and out to construction, but that's our schedule to get the design package. This would be bid as a public project. It's funny, we were talking out in the foyer about all sorts of volunteerism that wants to contribute to this project. And in a public bid project, we'll try to find ways that make sense that make that work if those opportunities come together. So through the spring of 2021 and the winter of 2021, we'll bid the project, award the project, and that will come to council. The contractor will mobilize and construction will be complete by the winter time. And then in early 2022, we've got to set up the building. We have to celebrate its opening, certainly, and then finally open it for Rancho Cordova's youth. In the next slide, we have some budget numbers. So as you saw in the plan view, we had a phase one project of around $4 million. Within that $4 million, I broke it up into kind of separate pieces here. So we have our design and studies piece, the green box, at about 7% of that budget. The main portion of the construction is 84%. And within that, because of the design level we're at this point, we have a contingency in there. So we feel fairly confident and comfortable with that estimate. The next blue 6% is the construction management, construction staking, permitting, interfacing with the buildings department, and getting that all put together. And then finally, the last 3% is we need to furnish this facility once we are complete. And so we have an estimate of $125,000 for the initial furnishing, computers, getting it open for business. So that concludes our presentation. We certainly would like to hear from you about your comments, inputs on the entry treatments. Give us direction at this point so we can put pen to paper and get this shovel ready. Thank you.
All right. Wow. The architectural drawings are awesome. I guess they need an opinion on the tower versus the pergola. Let's just term it that way. I'm married to a dermatologist, so I'm going to have to go for the pergola because of the shade and the rain protection. But they're both beautiful sort of visages of a building here.
I'm with you, David. I love option one. This is actually, after all, the Sacramento Valley, and we need shade from the sun and we need shade from the rain. And any way you look at it, that feels like a gathering place. How does not?
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards the glass and the tower thing just because it seemed more impressive and cleaner, I guess, as far as what I was seeing. But I would be fine with the pergola too. I have a couple of I'm just going to throw them out there as caution. The images that they were talking about making as metal and having them come off of the building, to me seemed like something that would be wrought for vandalism at some point. I'm trying to, Linda, you and I have talked about the statues at the Kaiser facility over here that kept getting messed with and stuff, and then they finally took them away. So let's just keep an eye on design and maintenance and what makes the most sense for something like that. But when I heard that, it just made me think of if somebody got on the roof and started to mess with these things. And maybe that's just a school board member in me that, well, during the summers and spring breaks and everything, that's when, electrical panels get damaged and other things tend to happen. So just something to think about. But no, I guess if it's the will of the council, I think I would prefer the tower over the pergola, but I'd be fine with either. I'm very pleased with what I see here. I'm assuming we'll have time for other questions because I do have some more operational questions about this facility beyond just the design.
So, Donald, I understand your point about vandalism, but it would be interesting to know whether the Park District has had any vandalism to all their statues on the fencing at the Mather State Park.
Yeah, I think the important thing to think about with this site is how much traffic, and foot and otherwise, is going to be near this site. Something out in the end of a park that's not lit very well at night. This is going to be something that they'll have people to a certain extent, but there's a lot of people that live right around there too. So I get your point, but also things out in Hagen Park are a lot different than things that are, 200 feet or 300 or 400 feet away from Boulevard in the middle of town.
I was thinking about the skate park at Mather, but the other thing, it's probably because that tower would face east for those apartments. It's probably important to consider whether their plan to light it at night is a light intrusion into people's bedroom windows.
Yeah, that's a fair question.
Garrett?
Love a basketball court. Love that there's a basketball court. I'd bring that up. Saw a basketball court. A couple questions. Are we thinking about, is it an all-weather court outside? Is it painted? Are we thinking about the sponsorship of the only true basketball team, the Sacramento Kings? What are we looking to do with this amazing basketball court facility that we will now have access to for our basketball group?
Yeah, the all-weather question is a serious one.
Carl will answer that.
Yeah, looking at the material, it actually looked like it was wood. So it was kind of strange to see that and realize that was exterior.
No, this will be an all-weather basketball court, simply because of really the spectrum of weather that we have in the area, cold versus hot in the summer and what have you. But no, this will be an all-weather. We basically I guess that was really for graphic purposes, to be honest with you. There's no wood out there.
Okay. Yeah, when I look at it at first, I assumed that was interior, and then when I looked a little bit further. I'm like, oh no, that's part of what I think is blacktop behind there right now.
I think it's concrete out there right now.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not grass.
Mm-hmm. No.
But yeah.
Okay, Bob?
Excellent.
Kind of curious about we're going to have some police pattern there so that people won't be taking advantage of the distance away from Folsom Boulevard. And I'm hearing you had to put in cameras and everything, so you have the top of the line.
Going on a walk.
Top of the line security. And also, what's that? Are you going to have kids from toddlers up to teens, or what?
That's an operational question.
Yeah, the current operational plan is still in the works, but most likely at this point we are looking at school-age children.
Okay, thank you.
Can I clarify?
So there would be some outdoor covered areas next to that basketball court?
Yes.
At least I saw the boxes on the site plan.
There's going to be a covered seating area so that you can observe the games and what have you as it proceeds.
Council, we're bringing back the graphics so you can refer to any specific areas.
The turf field, beyond that, turf requires, ongoing maintenance, mowing, fertilization, maybe some rest time. Did we think at all about I think it may have been referenced somewhere, artificial turf preference? So the budget there, is that artificial turf? Because it seems low for that amount. I mean, it doesn't seem possible for that amount in what I've seen elsewhere.
Well, as far as the estimation for that artificial turf is that it is possible. At least that's the preliminary estimation at this point. The field is not as large as it was originally planned for because there's some trees there that we're trying to save and have it remaining there. So again, that right now it's a preliminary estimation, but we'll have to see what the final results are once it goes out to bid.
David, so you can't quite get a FIFA sort of field out of that. Not enough room.
No, not with the existing trees that we're planning to have remain.
I have a question about artificial turf. Did somebody come up with an answer for that artificial turf stuff that crumbles everywhere and these little black, not just little black pieces all over everywhere?
That's the standard product these days, is that recycled tire stuff.
Okay, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's as far as I know, still the standard artificial turf product.
And people don't think that's safe for kids to play in.
Maybe I can
There's been
respond
debate
to
about
that. I happen to have
Sure,
a
go ahead.
contract with Cal Recycle. They're the folks that promote recycled tires. They've done extensive studies on the health effects of these crumb rubber turfs. And the results I've seen is that there is no health concern. It was an issue for quite a while, and they studied it. But as far as I've read, there's no health concerns with the crumb rubber tire artificial surfaces. While I have this opportunity with this slide up, we talked a little bit about security. So I wanted to be clear that there's a fencing all around the entire property that will be closed during the evening. But then during after hours, the police department will have use of this facility. Their break room is partially set aside for the police department to come in and write their reports. So I think this will be well illuminated and well attended all hours of the day. And we are looking at security cameras, both on the exterior as well, that's in the budget.
That's an excellent idea, having the police there on taking breaks and everything. That's
Yeah, I had always envisioned this as a potential second like a substation to the police department on Folsom Boulevard or near Folsom Boulevard. Ideally that would be great, but I would also venture to guess that they will not be there all the time. And so as we look at how we designing things that prevent or eliminate the opportunity for people to vandalize things, like things sticking out that are made of metal that may not be very sturdy, to me seems to attract problem. Since we have this slide up, I had another question. Is there any other material that we could look at besides black wrought iron fencing? Maybe there just isn't anything, but I just that is not what I want to look at if I don't have to. So that's just my 2 cents. And I know we want it to be secure. I get it, but if there is any way, and this goes back to like my days as a housing developer, that the number one thing that I did when we would build houses, no matter what neighborhood we're in, we didn't sell houses that had fences. I know we can't get away with that here, but if there's any other product that we can consider or at least explore besides black wrought iron, I would like to do that.
It can be green. Come in other colors, maybe?
Maybe. At least paint it. But if there was something in between there, obviously we want something that has line of sight and a lot of other things, and there's only so many products, but yeah, no black wrought iron outside if we can avoid it.
So to kind of address the wrought iron fence, that was our initial thought. And part of that, to play with some designs, we were thinking of bringing some of that silhouette playfulness onto the fencing, as well as some angular perforated panels to kind of tie in with the overall building. There's also another type of fencing that we're also looking at. We don't have we're still doing some research on it. This is outside of the U.S. It's more on the UK side. That's why we haven't presented it. But it's also using wrought iron fence, but playing with not just vertical posts going, but the way that they laid out the posts is all in angles as well. So it ties in with our overall design theme. It's still a wrought iron fence, but there's a little bit more of a design and playfulness to it. And we could share that down the line. So we have looked at other fence.
That sounds promising.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds promising. I trust staff and you to figure that out. I'm just giving you my feedback. I'm not a fan of wrought iron, but especially the example that's in this slide.
Yep.
So I have to comment. It's just amazing the evolution of people's taste, because we worked so hard to get people, to get property owners to actually go to tubular steel or wrought iron and away from chain link. And now we're saying that there needs to be something, a next generation beyond tubular steel or wrought iron. But I love the idea of, again, just like I like them on the building, I love the idea of putting kind of statuary on the fence, like they have at the Mather Sports Complex, like they have in the middle of Watt Avenue, and like they have on the light rail fence going into Folsom.
All good comments. I would entertain anything. But yeah, get away from the institutionalized. I'm not a big fan of cyclone fencing either necessarily, and I don't have solutions. What you just described sounds like a great alternative. If it could be a different color, that'd be even better.
All right, other questions on the design?
Can I elaborate a little bit more on the option 2? I know that there has been some comments addressing the coverage or a covering over the entry. These were earlier renderings, and unfortunately, we had not been updating that as rapidly as we should. If you look at this particular option 2 image, on the upper right-hand corner, it shows basically an awning coming out of in front of the entry and over the entry itself. So there is some coverage. In terms of the lighting, Kim did not mean to light the interior of this building, every night. It's just if there's an event and what have you, it just helps highlight that particular part of it as a beacon for visitors to come to this particular building. So it's not 24/7. It's not every day or every night that this particular building is lit up like that. I know that there's a concern about some issues with the apartments across the street. So just wanted to clarify that.
I appreciate that comment. I just have to say, even because I did see the little awning on the top right-hand corner photograph or rendering, but to me, the one with the canopy out front looks welcoming and inviting, like a place where people would want to hang out. And this does not look like that. This is very stark, and this looks like a building where there would be activity outdoors. The church-looking thing does not lend itself to that to me.
Okay, other comments? Or Donald, I think you had some operational questions.
Yeah, and Megan, I think you just said that you're going to bring back an operational plan. We're getting pretty far into the design of this without having really talked about what the operational plan is. I know we've had the Boys and Girls Club at a lot of the workshops that discuss this item in the past. We really haven't come up with even what the operational plan is for the Civic Center, and we've already started negotiating with the developer. And so I just want to kind of throw that out there to Cyrus and staff. But I really do want to hear who we're thinking about collaborating with. I hear a lot of reference to the police department, which is great, but I'm not sure that they're necessarily the ideal point person to run this facility or to be the lead for this facility and be a important one. And that's, again, not to say that they wouldn't play a role and that there aren't, great examples with the Boys and Girls Club and the Sheriff's Activities League working at the Lemon Hill Tykert Center. But the Boys and Girls Club is the point person, and a lot of the youth sports offerings and programming are done by the Sheriff's Activities League. And I would see relatively the same relationship if it's the Boys and Girls Club or somebody else, but figuring out who that is sooner rather than later, because they may look at a design like this and say, no, we need more space for this, or we need more daycare facility, or we need more maker space or art space. And I don't know what that is. And I'm sure that the consultants that are speaking right now have ample experience in working with these facilities and working with these types of providers. And I think it was Bill Blake that said it during the Civic Center discussion that we had, that as much as this is a building, it is who's going to run it and how is it going to be operated, for the years to come. Because ultimately, we spend millions of dollars on this in the next few years. We're still going to need to plan for additional sustaining funding from somebody. And I'm guessing it's not going to be this, directly the city running this thing, because that's not really the business we're in. So we're going to be a collaborator with somebody. So as much as I like what I'm seeing here, I also want to make sure that whoever we're tapping to run this outside of the Police Activities League is heavily involved in these conversations.
Yeah, Councilmember Terry, let me assure you that we have met in this process, we have met with 15 different organizations and have talked with them. The project team has also visited Boys and Girls Club. We received a great deal of good feedback and input. In fact, many of the design features are based on their experience with the Tiger Center and the work that they had done, and we've taken that into account. So we're talking. I'm discussing this with a variety of groups and organizations that may have an interest in it. So it's not just limited to Police Activities League. It would have a broad presence. And so far, we have received some interest in terms of the work they will do. So just rest assured that those discussions are happening. I think what we meant by the operational plan, we don't have the final plan yet, but it doesn't mean that we're not having discussions and we're not having input from those organizations.
Okay. Yeah, and again, this is just probably my past experience is, a school is not the building, it's all of the people that are going to run it inside, right? It's the teachers, it's the principals, it's everybody else. The Tiger Center isn't special because it's got basketball courts and foosball tables. It's because of the great people that are there offering after-school programming and the Sheriff's Activities League that are doing, boxing and soccer and rugby and all that other stuff. That's what makes
and the basketball court.
Yeah, but again, if you don't have coaches to do basketball, Garrett, it's just hoops and nets and concrete. And so I guess I'm just trying to impress upon you, Cyrus, that as we get updates for this, I am much more interested not in this design, but in who's going to be there running this in 5 years.
And that's the natural next step. I think we just want to be that whole construction phase and process. The design phase takes on for quite some time. So as that work progresses, we will focus on the operational plan.
Okay, great.
Cyrus, you and I have talked about this, but I think we probably mentioned it in this setting before. The police activities leagues are all over the place in terms of what they are, what they can be. And ours is, I think, a solid organization, but has the potential to be much more, much greater, much bigger, based on what you see in other police activities leagues in other jurisdictions. And there's something, unique about the ability of a police activities league to connect with kids and partners and, in particular, donors. I've seen it when I was on the board of the Police Activities League here, that they could go out and raise money in a way that was a lot easier than what, the Cordova Community Council had to do to raise a similar amount of money. So I would encourage us, particularly in this year, to look at those other organizations. Usually they have a convention or two a year that you can go to, and really sort of come up with a good growth strategy for our Police Activities League and how we get to that maximum effort that we can get out of that organization in this space.
Absolutely. So, Council, I also have one. I believe we have some public comments that.
I think we have two public comment. Yeah.
So the first.
Stacy, do we have two people?
We do have two. We have one in the room and we have one on Zoom. So the first one is Helen. Okay. I'll ask Helen to come forward.
Thank you for the time. I like option one, but I'm concerned about the energy efficiency of this building. Are we going to put solar panels on it? Are we going to use spray foam in the ceiling and the sidewalls, which drastically reduce the energy costs? I personally have done all those things to my house. My utility bill at the end of the year, after paying $20 a month, is $1 for my house, just by adding solar panels, not the full amount, and putting spray foam in the walls and 10 inches of foam in my ceiling. So I'd like to see some energy efficiency to this center so we can reduce the cost.
Excellent comment.
The second public speaker is Sergeant Rich Meredith.
Hey, Sergeant.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there personally with you guys tonight. I had a family emergency that made me stay home this evening, but I just wanted to take a moment to thank the council and our city manager for their support in this project. This has been a long-term project that people have been yearning for many years prior to my arrival at Rancho Cordova. And I was recently elected the president of the Rancho Cordova Police Activities League, and I just wanted to take a moment and tell you how excited we are about working in partnership with the city and, of course, our community partners, the Boys and Girls Club, and the many nonprofits that we have here in Rancho Cordova as we move forward. But I did want to take a moment to highlight some members from our team, the planning team, in particular, Megan Siren, who has been just pivotal in this process as we move forward, and of course, Officer Jose De La Cruz. Those two folks have put in an incredible amount of work moving forward. This is a snapshot of really what we've been working on for the last 6 months as far as planning and reaching out to our community partners to see what our operational needs are going to be. So I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you to all the folks that have participated in that.
Very good. Thank you. All right. On the design question, do we have any other public comment, Stacy, or is that it?
That's all.
Okay. On the design question, it sounds like we have consensus over option 1 versus 2. Donald, you said you were leaning towards 2, but would go with either?
I'm pretty ambivalent. If you guys really like it, then sure. I always like more steel and glass. That's just usually what I would go for. But I think both of them, yeah, you'll have more room to stand outside in the shade or away from the rain with the pergola option. So that's fine.
We could do the perfect architectural move and say build it both ways, right?
No.
Put the tower on there and put the pergola in front of it.
Should go build another armadillo.
Probably wreck, exactly.
This armadillo is going to look nice, though. I like the big, tall glass ceilings. That's awesome.
That's how you get the camel, right?
Yeah.
A horse designed by a committee, yeah.
Yeah. I guess my only other question, and I know this is publicly bid, but if there's a way to have unfinished walls that could be used, that we could commission local artists to do some of this colorful stuff, and I would love to see murals and some other space be left available for us to do some commissioned work as well.
Especially around
we do have a lot of local art talent that could be amenable to this, I'm sure. I can think of a few just off the top of my head.
We've been trying to foster that for quite a few years now, right?
Exactly.
So while I get the struggle, school districts have this problem all the time when parents want to come and paint the school and do all kinds of projects, and there's a lot of other things that come into that around insurance and lawyers and all kinds of other annoying things that get in the way. But I'm sure Adam could explain that. But let's get creative with how we are creative with this space. And I'm sure there's a lot of places where we could just slap on flat white paint and work with, our residents and our artists to finish this space, after we get the keys.
And the 3D character that was shown here with the figures on the front, I really like that idea, particularly the creative lighting. I think that would set this building apart from other similarly functioning structures. Something unique and exciting about it. And we've got some really great LED companies in Rancho Cordova. If you wanted to do something edgy on that front, I'm sure we could have some corporate collaboration. All right. Any other points? If not, this is not an item to be voted on. We just express our opinion.
Mr. Mayor, just one final comment about the budget. As you saw, the council has allocated $3 million for the project at this point. The total project costs for both phases 1 and 2 obviously exceed that amount. And so another next step for us to look at some of our funding opportunities, and we will come back to you at the appropriate time with some additional funding options. Just wanted to make that point.
I think we've got to go. I think we've got to go for the full facility as opposed to not build that field. I think that's the challenge. Let's get it done within that footprint, and look real hard for sponsorships, be it the Kings or someone else, whoever it is, corporate partner to sponsor parts of this. I can't think of a more responsible project than a youth center with the police involved. That's going to generate a lot of automatic sponsor interest. So if, I think we ought to go for the whole hog here, go for the big project.
Well, and I think we'll also hopefully have some clarity on what the voters thinking about a measure that we put on the ballot that might obviously change what kinds of resources we have for this project.
Sure.
Among other ones.
Yeah. So more work needs to be done, but at this point, our goal is to do the entire project as it was presented tonight, and hopefully we don't have to phase it. So we will be looking at some funding opportunities in the coming months.
All right, very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, great job.
And thank you.
Yeah, exciting. Great work, staff. Very, very cool. All right, that brings us to item 19, council request for future agenda items.
I think I already asked for this, but I had some constituents follow up. And I'm just wondering, and this could be an email offline, of a timeline of when we're thinking about having a conversation about mobile homes. And if that is in the not too distant future. And again, on what powers, if any, we have. But I know I've asked for it. I've had a few constituents since then ask me for a timeline. So I'm just asking for the mayor and the vice mayor and the city manager have had any thought for when that's calendared.
We have had the city attorney working on this topic. Adam, do you have a little update for us on that?
Sure, I'd be happy to talk about that. Since the council member made the request and the council briefly at the end of a recent council meeting, city manager, planning department, and planning manager and I have scoped the issue further, staffed it up, and tentatively, as we indicated in the council meeting that we would bring it to you before the end of the year, we have tentatively identified the first meeting of December as the target delivery date for that. We've had some positive outreach with members of the community regarding the issue, including as recently as Saturday, the city manager and I both were in communication with an interested party on this. We fully understand it's a topic of significant interest in the community, and we'll get it back with a thorough and kind of overview of the scope of issues that you talked about. We also appreciate the communities come forward with some potentially useful secondary sources and individuals with strong backgrounds in this area as well.
All right. Any other questions on future agenda items? Very good. Then we are moving on to adjourn. We will have a closed session, or actually two closed sessions, I guess, this evening.
Potentially
following the meeting. So potentially three. So council members, we're headed for three closed sessions. I think it's meeting link number 4. It's in that agenda, or I'm sorry, that was in your calendar items. So with that, thank you very much, members of the public. We will adjourn to closed session.